Beneath the bright Italian lights of Turin, where legacy is carved not just by victories but by moments that reshape football history, one night stands above all others. A night when a Portuguese superstar arrived not simply as a transfer signing, but as a force destined to change Juventus forever. This is the story of the day Cristiano Ronaldo became a Juventus legend, an evening that blended pressure, expectation, brilliance, and destiny into one unforgettable chapter. When Cristiano Ronaldo first signed for Juventus in 2018, the football world shook. Some called it a gamble. Others said he was past his prime. Many believed that Serie A's slower tempo and tactical rigidity would dull his shine. Yet those who knew Ronaldo, truly understood his hunger, recognized something deeper. Criticism has always been his fuel, and doubt his greatest motivation. He hadn't come to Italy for comfort. He had come to write history. And so, Juventus, a club known for discipline, tradition, and defensive excellence, suddenly carried the uncontainable fire of a global superstar who had shattered records in England and Spain. For months, he acclimated, scoring, assisting, fighting, pushing, always demanding more of himself and everyone around him. The fans admired him, the club respected him, and the league feared him. But every legend needs a single defining night. His came in the Champions League, February 2019, against Atletico Madrid. Juventus had lost the first leg 2-0. Critics sharpened their knives. Commentators said Juve had made a €1 billion mistake. Ronaldo's best days are gone, they said. Italian football is too unforgiving, too structured. Atletico was too strong. But Ronaldo, as he has done throughout his life, listened to the noise, and smiled. When he stepped onto the pitch for the second leg at the Allianz Stadium, he carried not just the weight of expectation, but the full emotional gravity of a decade spent dominating the world's biggest stage. The atmosphere inside the stadium trembled. Fans didn't just hope, they believed. Because with Ronaldo, belief was not fantasy, it was tradition. From the first whistle, Ronaldo attacked the game with the intensity of a man who refused to accept defeat. Juventus pressed, pushed, forced errors, and demanded responses. When the first cross came into the box, Ronaldo rose, higher than logic, higher than defenders, higher than fear, and slammed in the header that cracked open Atletico's wall. A roar thundered through Turin. One goal down, one step toward destiny. But legends don't exist in halves. 10 minutes into the second half, another ball rose into the air, and once again Ronaldo elevated himself above time, space, and disbelief. He crashed another header past Jan Oblak. 2 goals, 1 man, 1 mission. The stadium dissolved into chaos. What had been impossible began to feel inevitable. Still, Juventus needed one more. Pressure like that turns most players into shadows. But Ronaldo has always shone brightest under the heaviest weight. In the 86th minute, when the referee pointed to the penalty spot, the world seemed to freeze. Every Juventus fan held their breath. Every Atletico supporter cursed their luck. Every Ronaldo critic silently hoped for failure. But Ronaldo himself, he simply stepped forward with calm, with purpose, with the confidence of a man who has reinvented pressure into performance for 2 decades. He placed the ball down, took his breath, took his steps, and smashed it into the net with a conviction that rewrote history. The stadium erupted. The comeback was complete. Juventus 3-0 Atletico Madrid. Cristiano Ronaldo, hat-trick hero, savior, and now, undeniably, a Juventus legend. That night didn't just send Juventus to the next round. It electrified an entire era. It reminded the world why Ronaldo stands among football's immortals, because he doesn't just play the game, he bends its narrative around himself. He doesn't follow history, he creates it. But his legacy at Juventus wasn't formed in one game alone. It was shaped by goals that revived fading matches, assists that shifted momentum, and leadership that lifted spirits. It was his relentless training sessions, the sessions where teammates would describe him as the first to arrive, the last to leave. It was the goals in Serie A, over 80 of them, that rewrote the record books. It was the season he became the fastest Juve player to hit 50 league goals. It was the season he became the first in history to be top scorer in England, Spain, and Italy. Yet records, as impressive as they are, were only part of the story. What truly cemented Ronaldo's place in Juventus folklore was his mentality, a mentality that infected the club with a hunger so intense that it raised the performance level of an entire squad. Young players watched him and learned. Veterans watched him and remembered what still needed to be achieved. Opponents watched him and feared what he might do next. And even when Juventus struggled, when titles slipped and systems faltered, Ronaldo never surrendered his fire. He carried the team through moments that could have broken them. He scored when they needed him most. He performed not for applause, but for responsibility. He fought every match as though history depended on it. Because for Cristiano Ronaldo, it always has. And in the hearts of Juventus fans, his legacy remains carved in something deeper than statistics. It lives in the memories of nights when he lifted the stadium to its feet. Nights when he silenced critics. Nights when he stood as the one player who believed victory was inevitable, and proved it. To understand what makes him legendary, one must look beyond goals and trophies. His greatness is not measured by the number of records he breaks, but by the number of people he inspires. At Juventus, he inspired millions. He turned casual supporters into believers, believers into dreamers, and dreamers into witnesses of history. The day Cristiano Ronaldo became a Juventus legend was not defined by a contract, a transfer fee, or a marketing announcement. It was defined by a performance so extraordinary that even his doubters had no choice but to admire him. It was defined by a night when he willed a team, a stadium, and a nation into triumph. It was a night when football reminded us why we watch this game, because of players who can change everything with one moment, one decision, one spark of brilliance. Ronaldo's journey at Juventus may have eventually ended, but legends don't leave, legends stay in the soul of the club. His goals, his mentality, his presence, his unforgettable hat-trick against Atletico Madrid, they remain stitched into the history of Juventus forever. And so, when future generations speak of the greatest nights in Italian football, of the biggest comebacks, of the iconic individual performances that shift reality itself, they will speak of that night in Turin. They will speak of the roar of the fans. They will speak of the unstoppable force that refused to concede defeat. They will speak of Cristiano Ronaldo, the man who arrived in Italy with the weight of global expectation, battled criticism, and emerged as not just a footballer but a symbol of excellence. A man who, through hard work and unshakable belief, turned pressure into triumph and doubt into legacy. This is not just the story of a player making history. It is the story of a man refusing to let the world define him. It is the story of a moment that lives forever. The day Cristiano Ronaldo became a Juventus legend, etched not only in statistics, but in the hearts of millions. And though time may move forward, though football evolves and generations shift, that night will always stand as proof of one truth: greatness is not a gift. It is a choice. And on that night, as he has done his entire life, Cristiano Ronaldo chose greatness once again.